Zach Denison, what's up, bud? How are you?
Hey, hey, how's it going?
Good, man. Well, welcome to Member Spotlight for Military Investor Network. You've just engaged a ton so far in the community and the group, and offered like incredible, advice, thoughts, ideas, links, like tons of just goodness. So I just wanted to bring you on and highlight all about you. So welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really have enjoyed interacting with it, and I think a lot of the questions that you've asked, I've thought, oh, I've already thought about that, or read an article about that, or here's a resource or a way that I approach it. So you've done a really good job just asking a lot of good questions that invite conversation.
Thanks, man. Well, again, you've offered some great thoughts on those questions and links, and man, I've dove into quite a bit of what you've offered, so I appreciate it. I've gotten smarter from just being around you, so I appreciate that.
Great, great.
Let's start with just a little bit of background about who you are, where you came from, and what you did, and talk about your military stuff too.
Yeah, definitely. I'm Zach Denison, originally from Bradenton, Florida, a small town near Tampa. Not known outside of Florida by a lot of people, but Pittsburgh Pirates spring training is there.
Okay.
Tropicana orange juice and the Behemoth Sports High School IMG Academy is there too, and a lot of beautiful beaches. So I consider myself a little bit of an unofficial Bradenton, Florida advocate. So if anyone wants to travel there, I can tell you where to go and what to eat.
Nice. Although you
Yeah.
don't live there now.
No, no, I live in Colorado Springs now. Yeah, left Bradenton, Florida. Went to the Naval Academy for 4 years. Really enjoyed Annapolis, and yeah, some challenges there, but just a great community, great people, great connections, and a ton of great experience. Uh, my Colorado connection kind of started dating a Colorado girl, and while I was at the Naval Academy, and that was part of the reason I went to Air Force Academy on exchange in 2012. So came out to Colorado Springs, went to the Air Force Academy for 1 semester, did parachuting, did skiing, and thought Colorado's great. I want to end up here someday.
Nice. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
And
great,
then
man.
after the Naval Academy, I was a surface warfare officer for 7.5 years. I spent 2 years in San Diego on Peleliu, a big amphibious transport ship, did a 6 month deployment. With that ship, I was a program manager in charge of electronics technicians. Uh, Tremendous experience there. You know, certainly something unique about the surface warfare community is you graduate and you're in charge of a division on like day one on your ship.
And
So
know nothing about that division, right?
yeah, yeah, and they're all smarter than you. They're asking you how old you are, and yeah, it was got to lean on a really good chief who helped teach me and train me. But yeah, an intimidating environment, 1,000 people on board, 800-foot warship that you're driving in places where people don't like you. So yeah,
That's
definitely.
awesome.
And then left there, went to USS New York out of Mayport, Florida. Really special ship that has 7.5 tons of World Trade Center steel melted into the hull of the ship, and I got to be the anti-terrorism officer on board. So, really special ship running the security program there, and tremendous experience getting that ship ready for their next deployment, going through inspections, drills, training. I joke with people. I was like, part of my job was to like call in bomb threats to the ship and like see how people responded and
See what they did?
see if people knew what to do. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to work now and call in some bomb threats and put the ship in a training team environment. So uh,
Nice.
yeah, really, really unique, valuable experience there. And then I don't know if the aviation community is like this, but for shore duty, I had to list my top 20 jobs that I wanted for shore duty. And we actually moved back to San Diego, and I was an instructor at the Surface Warfare Officer School, teaching brand new officers how to drive ships and simulators. And it was a really special, really rewarding job. Uh, in 2017, there were two different ship collisions where 17 sailors passed away. And I got to the training command right after that. And so every day you're going to work, you're like, well, what we're doing is important because if people don't know how to drive ships well and with confidence, then there are lives at risk. And so really went to work every day with a lot of purpose, teaching a young 22-year-old officer, hey, you're about to go drive a ship in like a month. Let's get really, really good at this as best we can here to try to, set you up with some of the fundamentals. So good experience there. And then while I was at that command, kind of knew I was going to be getting out of the military and decided to go to University of San Diego for an MBA program. Did that nights, weekends, and just made it work. Even married, raising a young family. But it was the right move, and I was really glad I did it to learn more about investing, learn more about the way business is run to help with the transition too.
That's cool, man. Well,
Yeah,
and then we connected quite a few years ago. I think originally on LinkedIn, but then you're in Colorado, I'm in Colorado, and we ended up doing like a webinar on donor advised funds, right? And
yeah.
you were working with some folks that are in that space. And so talk to me about the transition from military life to civilian life. What was that transition like, one, and what did you immediately go into as kind of like your first career move?
Yeah. I knew that I knew that I was going to get out of the military. I actually put in the paperwork to resign my commission in March 2020, and I was like, "Oh, this COVID thing's going to blow over. Like, I'm gonna ride the wave of like a roaring job market, coming out of this in 6 months." And when we moved out to Colorado late 2020, I'd go to companies' career pages and it would just be like blank, like we're not hiring right now. We're nervous. What's going on with the economy? What's going on with COVID? So it was a tough transition trying to get into that job market. I was really grateful to do a skill bridge internship with Integrity Wealth Advisors out here in Colorado Springs, and got to learn from guys that had 20, 30 years of wealth management experience, and got to work there for a year. Really cool, working on portfolio construction, reviewing investments. People would come to us and say, hey, I don't really know if I trust my financial advisor. They didn't do great last year. What would you guys do differently? And being able to talk, interact with people, and kind of explain the way that we did financial planning, investment management was really, really valuable. And just good technical skills, investing, and then people skills too. Learning from more senior advisors on kind of the blocking and tackling of the investment world. And was really fortunate to work with somebody who had previously been at Waterstone, and he is probably one of the top 5 people in Colorado in understanding charitable giving strategies. And so learned a ton from him, and how do you give non-cash assets in a really tax efficient way, and why that's really valuable. And got to hear him explain over and over again to clients the benefits of non-cash giving and real estate and business interest and appreciated stocks. So I felt like I just learned a ton being in that environment, and it was a super valuable experience. So overall, I would say it was a tough transition, but was thankful to land on my feet. And I kind of thought, you know, the veteran statistic, 50% of veterans leave their first job, within a year. And I think it's 80% of veterans leave their first job after the military within, I think it's 4 years. And I was like, oh, that's definitely not me. I'm
Yeah.
going to be doing wealth management for the next 30 years. Like I figured it out. And I left on my 1 year anniversary at the
Oh,
company.
wow.
And went and worked at Agilent Technologies as a IT business relationship manager, reviewing IT investments for a big 16,000 person company. And but was able to leverage network and go work for a retired P3 NFO there as my manager, and just a fantastic leader and a guy I really liked working for, and a Naval Academy graduate too. So that was still a really, really valuable experience. And I was there for almost 3 years before going back into kind of the philanthropy planning world as chief of staff for a philanthropy consulting firm out here in Colorado. And what we did there was we would review and research nonprofits before people would make major gifts, a lot of times of $1 million or more. So we had about 30 clients giving between 60 and $100 million to nonprofits every year.
Wow.
So taking a very like due diligence approach, the same way investors do, but doing it with charitable gift planning and saying, before you give a major gift to this nonprofit, here's the data that we're going to collect on them to be able to give with confidence.
That's cool, man. Well, you had
Yeah.
mentioned earlier, kind of in the Navy side of things, getting thrown into the wolves' den of leading these people and not really knowing what we're doing in these departments. And I felt that same way. I think that's probably Navy wide, probably military wide. And I'm
Yeah.
curious, like, in your transition and then in these different career fields, like what did you feel like you learned in the military that was beneficial for you, and transferring that to the civilian sector, to the business world, to the investment world?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was preparation, and I'm curious to hear from your side too of, flying helicopters. But there's a certain level of preparation that you had to do before you were driving a ship into port on, a stormy day with low visibility. You needed to know all these different contingencies, and there's a certain level of preparation you had to do before an evolution to say, right now I'm not prepared. Here's what I need to do to get prepared. And here's my knowledge gaps. Here's the contingency planning. I may have done something similar before. Here's what's different. And I think that level of preparation was really valuable for me in transitioning, getting ready for an executive presentation with the CIO at Agilent. It's like, all right, here are the questions that they could ask. Here's the expertise. Here's the knowledge that I need to have going into it so that I can present myself well, present the information well going into this. So I think a certain level of preparation was really big, and then just relationships too, learning how different people tick, learning what motivates people, learning how to collaborate, work well together as a team. There's a time to build relationship. There's a time to get down to business and get the job done too. So I'm curious from your perspective too, if that was similar for you getting ready for a real estate deal,
Yeah.
saying, taking a similar approach to getting ready for a flight.
Yeah, man. I mean, they called that pre-flight planning. And then even like in flight school, they said a chair flight, right? Like literally you would sit in a chair and practice, the maneuvers and practice like the steps to take for like emergency procedures or, you know, uh, whatever type of procedure you're working on in that flight. So, dude, I love that. I think it's spot on with preparing into the business world, giving a presentation for, on a pitch deck for an investment, ask, thinking through what questions they're going to ask, kind of being prepared ahead of time. I never really thought of it, but you're so right. That's good, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, you've been in the investing space for a while. You've invested yourself. You were with a wealth planning company, and so you've offered ideas, thoughts, portfolios in the investing world. Because this is the Military Investor Network, we talk a lot about investing. So I'm curious, from your perspective, what's the best investment that you've ever made?
Yeah. Yeah. I've got two. So I don't know if I'm breaking the question by giving two.
Fair
But
enough.
I was
All out
talking,
this time.
I was talking to my wife about this. Um, one marriage investment, and then one like physical tangible asset investment.
Okay.
So the I'll start with the tangible investment. While I was on deployment, actually, uh, my wife called me up and said, "Hey, our friends from church are selling their house. Do you want to buy it?" And I was like, "Hey, just so you know, like I can't help with anything. I was like, I can't do anything for you." But we knew we had a VA loan eligibility. We had left, I had signed power of attorney so that my wife could basically act on my behalf for anything. And I was like, I can't help you all. It sounds like a good idea. We knew we wanted to buy a house someday. So I guess maybe now. I was like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, it'll be a fun project for me while you're gone on deployment.
Oh, nice.
So she like literally signed every piece of paper, moved us, bought the house on our behalf, and moved in.
Wow.
And then to her credit, 2 months later, we got orders to Florida. And I called her on deployment and I said, hey, why don't you stop unpacking right now? We're moving to Florida in 6 months. And she was like, oh man. Um, but it ended up being such a great investment because we were 23, 24 years old. We were homeowners. And then we quickly became property managers
Mm,
and we're managing this across the country. And then when the Navy moved us back to San Diego in 2017, we had the benefit of living in 2014's housing market 3 years later. And so I'm making O3 BAH, living on a place that I could afford with O1 BAH. So that was a tremendous investment for us. We lived there until late 2020, sold that, and it was just a great investment for us, and a testament to my wife's resiliency and kind of just like, hey, let's go for it.
That's
Let's
awesome.
figure it out.
And the house was in San Diego?
Yeah, the house is in San
Okay. So
Diego.
so you got the timing right on the market. I don't know if you listened to Chris Kiesel's,
I did.
but
Yeah.
he and I both were terrible timing. We bought like before the crash and went through that exact, maybe not, like the wife thing, but like bought and then we lost a whole lot of money. So
Yeah.
good on you for timing the market well.
Yeah.
I don't. That's maybe a little bit more chance or luck, but
Yeah. Well, it
either
was
way,
like, it was totally not what we expected. We didn't leave. I didn't leave for deployment saying like, "Hey, honey, like try to find us a house to buy." It
yeah,
was just kind of, crazy timing to be able to find it. And yeah, holding it from 2014 to 2020
yeah,
was really
huge.
great. The second one was more of a marriage one. I was listening to Chris Kiesel's too, but before I left on deployment, I went to our flower shop that was walking distance from our house, and I opened up a $500 tab. And I told my wife, whenever you want flowers when I'm gone on deployment, just go there and they'll hook you up. And so
Nice.
that $500 investment on deployment was one of the best investments I ever made, because I would be talking to my wife on the phone, halfway across the world. And when I'm saying like, hey, we're going to be moving to Florida in 6 months, go get some
Go
flowers,
get some flowers.
that was definitely one of the best investments I ever made too, was that $500 of flowers, while I was on deployment too.
Dude, what a great idea. Did you come up with that on your own or did someone give you that idea?
I think I came up with it on my own, but don't give me too much credit. It was
That's good, man.
$500 was a lot of money too, as an O1.
Hey, that's good, man. Was a
Yeah.
happy wife equals happy life. Like that's
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
strong
exactly.
investment. Love that. All right, how about the worst investment? What's the worst investment you've ever made?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I had a family member recommend buying SLV stock ticker, which is silver, and put some of my career starter loan in it, and it just did nothing for the next 2 years. And then I sold it to buy our house, but I did the math one day of like, well, what if I had bought $4,000 of almost any other stock or index fund? And that math was like, oh yeah, this stock would have been 5x, 5 years later, 6x, or different things. So it all worked out, but yeah, maybe not investing more in my career starter loan was something. But I like to think we made up for it with the San Diego house.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I invested my starter loan into a Chevy Tahoe, which
Yeah,
immediately dropped in value as I drove it off the lot. And
yeah,
yeah, I think I only had it for like 5 years. So buying silver stock was probably a better option than buying a Tahoe. So
yeah, yeah. I held on to it. The price of silver was just like flat for the next like 3 or 4 years and didn't really do anything. And I think my roommate at the time was buying Apple with his career starter loan, and I was like, huh, that could work.
probably probably did a little better.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
nice,
definitely.
man. Well, going back through your career, through your Navy days and into, your civilian career, like if you had to go back and give yourself advice, give your 20-year-old self some advice, like what would that be?
Yeah, I would say, don't get thrown off when things don't go your way. If you don't get you think you really want something, and if it doesn't happen, don't get too upset. Don't dwell on it too much. Do the best you can with what's next, and keep looking ahead. I think sometimes at the service academy or in the Navy, we can kind of think, oh, this next set of orders, this would be ideal. This is exactly what I want. I told the detailer when I was 23, I said, my number one priority is to stay in San Diego. Like, whatever you do, keep me in San Diego. My wife just bought us a house. And I like joked that the detailer was like, we heard you loud and clear. You actually want to move to Mayport, Florida. Uh, so yeah, but it all works out. It all kind of sorts itself out. So don't get thrown off when things don't go as planned, and keep investing in relationships.
Mm.
I think just the personal relationships, the friendships, the acquaintances, just the ROI on being able to reach out to, an old Navy friend or someone and just staying in touch, not looking to gain anything out of it, but keep investing in relationships, keep talking to people. And so many times just running back into either Navy friends or people that I met at the Air Force Academy, and being able to have those strong relationships just keeps paying dividends and is super valuable too.
Man, I love that. And I know, I know you're a believer and have faith in a higher power, in Jesus. And, I truly believe like that he has a plan for all this, right? Like when, it doesn't go your way, like there's probably a better way, and he's got that plan in place. So, just something else to
Yeah.
think about there.
Yeah. I would maybe one other thing I would add to, 20-year-old self was, keep investing in mentors, keep investing in relationships, people to disciple you, in faith, in your marriage and friendships and career. Um, Before I went on deployment, met a guy from church who had been in the SEAL teams for 10 years. And I said, "Hey, I'm about to go on deployment. I don't know how this is going to affect me, my family. I want to learn from you. How do I make this, a win for me and my family, as opposed to just something that, sets us back?" But that was super valuable. And yeah, constantly investing in mentors and relationships, accountability with peers, um, all of those just keep paying off, and pouring into others too. Hey, I learned something from this person. I'm gonna pour into somebody else. Yeah.
That's so good, man. So good. All right, last question for you. Within the Military Investor Network, those are going to watch this and the members of our community, what would you ask from them? If this is your spot to plug away.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, thanks for the platform. Thanks for the time today and the spotlight. I would say two things. First one being, I am looking for a job right now. Definitely want to stay in Colorado, but looking for a new job using my experience in operations, project management, the MBA. Looking to leverage those skills in a new role here. So if anyone knows anyone who's hiring, please have them reach out to me. Happy to share my resume, get on a call, and see if there's a good fit. Second one, about a year and a half ago, started writing a sports newsletter on Substack called Catch a Game, and just talking about kind of what I'm learning, how I'm trying to teach my kids about sports, and just different reflections. So, if anyone wants to kind of follow along with that and subscribe and have it lead to other conversations too, that would be a great way to stay connected and feel supported there too.
That's cool, man. I love that. We'll put that newsletter link in the show notes of the video. And I failed to ask earlier, married with kids, like give us that. Um,
Yeah, married. My wife's name is Carrie, and we've got three kids, a boy and two girls. My wife went to Oral Roberts University, and now she does her own business teaching voice and piano lessons. And she has 40 weekly students right now, and she's really just investing. And you talk about kingdom investing, but a lot of it turns into kind of mentorship, discipleship with her students, and teaching them about performing, and then also just about worship leading. And she's been able to see a lot of her students move forward in the arts and study music in college, which has been really cool too. So
wow,
she's in some ways she's more of an entrepreneur than I am, and her business is growing, and it's been really cool to see and be a part of too.
man, that's cool. That's cool. Well, good on you to support her and encourage her and be the first cheerleader for her. Zach, this is fun, man. I appreciate you. I'm so glad that I'm in your network, and it's such a blessing to be close by and see you every now and then and grab coffee and just connect and network and help each other grow. And so yeah, man, I appreciate everything that you've done for me, your prayers, through some tough times, and
Yeah,
continue to. I know you're going to continue to pour into the community, so appreciate you.
awesome. Thanks, man. We'll be in touch.
Okay, see ya.
See ya.